Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled Me, 25-year-old female, with my fiance, 25-year-old male, together 5 years. I cheated and I'm not sure how to handle his response. And guys, this story is about a young woman who she says she's 25, and it all goes into the fact that how years earlier when she started dating this guy who's now her fiance. Classic story. She goes off one weekend to visit her sister at college, goes to a party, there's drinking, there's fun, she gets drunk, meets some dude, he charms her socks off, they hook up, and immediately she's regretful about it, and she basically cheats on this guy. And instead of going home and just telling what she did, letting him know, doing the right thing, even though she did a wrong thing, she doesn't tell him. And basically, years go by, and the guy thinks everything's cool, so he proposes to her, and they get engaged. And now she's feeling awful about it, and you're going to see what happens. And I'm doing this story, guys, because there's lots of life lessons here that I'm going to point out along the way. Really important things that one needs to know in life, both from the perspective of a man and a woman. And I'm sharing this that way you guys don't get in these same situations and can understand where I'm coming from here. So I'm going to go through a story and you're going to see what I'm talking about. Starts out saying, I understand that what I did was wrong. I don't deny that or try to excuse it in any way. I feel horrible about it and I will do anything that I can do to make this right. So while I understand calling me names is fair game, I am really looking for advice on what to do from here. Very early on in our relationships, 6 weeks to be exact, I went on a trip to visit my sister at her school. The second night there, we attended a huge party, and I was dancing and drinking, and one guy in particular kept hitting on me, and as the night went on, I started flirting back. I make no excuses. I was drinking, but was not drunk. He did not grape me, can't say the R word, or take advantage of me. I just made a horrible judgment call, and I ended up going back with him to his room. I knew the moment it started, it was wrong, and I ended up crying while I was laying there. I got up and left as soon as he was done, and to this day, I don't even know his last name. So in other words, the classic story, goes to a party, has a lot to drink, blame it on the alcohol. And at the end of the day, alcohol just enhances what's going below the surface anyway, But how many times have you guys heard this story about, I don't know, for me, about 50,000 times, a girl gets drunk, cheats on the boyfriend, blame the alcohol. My sister was so wasted, she went home with a friend and never knew I spent the night at her place, or never knew I didn't spend the night at her place, as I was there before she got home. I went back home and was guilt-ridden, and although I knew it would cost me my new boyfriend at the time, I was going to tell him and beg him to forgive me. When I see him the next day, he is already very depressed. He did not get the job offer he thought he was going to get and was very down. I decided that I didn't want to add to his depression, so I spent the entire day trying to cheer him up and be a comfort for him. Well, I hope she took a shower and, cleaned off the smell of some other dude and brushed her teeth before she went to comfort the boyfriend. Then the next time I see him, he is so happy with me because he said that I was able to make him forget about how crappy his life was at that moment. That once again, I didn't tell him. Yes, I know it was wrong both times, but I was young, immature, and scared. Hey, everybody screws up. Everybody's young. When somebody's young, you're not going to hold them to the same things that you would to a much more older, experienced adult. I'm guessing since she says in this story she's 25 years old now. So if she says 5 years ago, she's probably about 20 years old, give or take. But still, she should have told the guy. Even though he was depressed, even though he was upset, she should have told the guy. He has a right to know. That's the right thing to do, okay? But she didn't. And guess what? Years go by, and you're going to see what happens here. After those 2 times, we were getting along so well that I just put it in my head that nobody other than myself and the other guy even knew it happened. So why ruin a great thing when I knew I would never do it again and I would never see or hear from this other guy? In other words, she was thinking more of herself than her boyfriend. At the end of the day, if somebody cheats, the right thing to do, first, don't do it. End it, okay? End the relationship before you're going to cheat. That's the right thing to do. But if you do it, if you fuck up, at the very least, tell that person. And it goes both ways. Guys, girls, whatever. Because one way or not, one is it's the right thing to do, but two, guaranteed it will come back to haunt you one day. May take years, but it'll come back to haunt you one day. Flash forward to 2 months ago. We have already been together for years, and now, in fact, we have been together longer than any of our friends have been with their significant others. We love each other, and we live together. He asked me to marry him. I was overjoyed and, of course, said yes. We told our family and our friends, and everyone's happy for us. But 2 days after he asked me, I became overwhelmed with guilt. I called into work because I couldn't function and spent the entire morning sitting on the couch crying. Well, let's not overdo it, drama queen. I was a liar and a cheat, and I had tricked my boyfriend into proposing when, in fact, if he knew about it from the start, he would have probably broken up with me. I decided I could not live the rest of my life like that, and determined that when he came home, I had to tell him no matter what his mood was. Now, was she telling him because it was the right thing to do? Or was she telling him to make herself feel better? We'll see. The other part of this that is important is that I am his first and only sexual partner. Uh-oh. He knew that I had been with one other guy before we got together, but that never bothered him, or so I thought. One other guy? She might ought to rethink that. If she's trying to be honest here, I think she ought to rethink that. I have a very hard time believing that, but okay. He comes home and immediately sees I'm a mess and asks what's wrong. I tell him, and he's understandably very upset, very emotional. You bet your ass. 5 years they've been together. He just proposed to her and finds out, lo and behold, 6 weeks into them together, that she cheated on him. Now, granted, okay, it was 6 weeks, probably 6 weeks, handful of dates, maybe hooked up a few times, but still, he's gone this whole time thinking that everything was great. And then he finds this out. You can understand this guy being really upset. You can understand him being pissed off and what comes next. I tell him that I will do anything to prove to him that I have never done anything like that since, nor will I ever do anything like that in the future. I offered to let him go through my tablet, phone, Facebook, anything. And he says that it won't be necessary because he doesn't want us to live like that. He said that he wanted some time to think to himself and said that he would sleep on the couch. No, she should sleep on the couch. I told him that I would give him all the time he wanted or needed, but that I would be the one sleeping on the couch, not him. Okay, good for her. And that's the best thing a woman can do in a situation like that, especially towards guys. Guys don't solve their problems and resolve issues by going and talking about it. We resolve shit by getting the hell out of there, going for a drive, getting away for a few days. That's why do you think so many guys like fishing? Because they can be by themselves generally, peace and quiet, do the fishing, and think. Or guys get in the car and drive around for a few hours. Or they go off to their man cave or basement or wherever they hang out to think. And a lot of women get all bent out of shape because they won't open up and talk about it. That's just not how we resolve problems. Women, on the other hand, get together and they'll yap, 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 yap. That's how they get it out. We're different. So, good she slept on the couch, and good she gave him his space. The next morning, he is quiet, but does not show any bitterness towards me. I just asked if he was okay, as I didn't want to pry into his thoughts. He told me that, of course, he was hurt and upset. He said the hardest thing for him was the time frame because he doesn't know if being upset is justifiable or silly at this length of time. I told him he is certainly justified to be upset, and we both went to work. A week goes by, and he seems to get a little better every day, to the point that we both went out to have somewhat celebration dinner for our engagement with one of his friends. Everything was fine until Wednesday when he tells me he'll be back very late from work. That doesn't bother me at all because this can be a somewhat normal occurrence. When they start on one project, they can't stop until it's completed, and there have been times it's taken 16 hours to do. So I spent the evening catching up on some work I was behind on, watched a movie I knew he wouldn't want to watch, and then went to bed. I woke up the next morning and he still wasn't there. I texted him and asked him where he was. He just replied with me, "I'm on my way home." We pass each other on the street as I had to get to work. I call him and he just saying that he was longer than expected and was going to go home to get some sleep. Okay, this isn't normal, but he did give me a heads up and he wasn't acting weird or suspicious, so I just went about my day. I come home and he's sitting in the living room waiting on me. Long story short, he told me that he spent last night with Tracy, a married woman from his work. I just collapsed in the chair. He then goes on to tell me that this was a one-time thing and that she is in an open marriage and he has no feelings for her and she has none for him. But he said that he felt completely paralyzed with anger and envy about me, not only having slept with this other guy, but over my previous relationship as well. He said he knew he was wrong, but he just felt like he had to be with someone else just once so he wouldn't feel so insecure about me being with other guys, and he had been only with me. So basically, when she told him and he was upset and all that and seemed to kind of brush it off, sounds to me like this guy's a classic passive aggressive. So instead of letting her have it right then, he is upset, but he goes off and he goes bang some other woman from work. As much as we can get a good laugh about this, and can understand being upset and hurt and all that, totally understand that, and him obviously seriously questioning, hey, she lied about that all those years ago. What else is she lying about? How do I know, from the perspective of the guy, how does he know that, hey, how does he know that this didn't happen multiple times over the years? How does he know this won't happen again? These are very justifiable and reasonable things the guy would be thinking about, which would lead him in this direction. But still, he's been with her for a number of years, and as much as we can get a laugh about this, if he actually thinks he's going to be in a relationship with her, two wrongs don't make a right, because now it makes it worse. Again, you can understand his feelings, being upset, pissed off, hurt, confused, all that shit, and obviously seriously questioning what other stuff she's hiding, but still, this is only going to make it worse. Ultimately, he should have broken up with her if he was that upset. But watch what happens now. I started crying, and of course, he then got pissed and started yelling at him. She got pissed and started yelling at him. Then he stops me and says, why am I yelling at him? I cheated first, and when he found out about it, he never yelled at me, which is true, he didn't. Because he's passive aggressive. He says he regrets the action, really regrets feeling like he cheapened himself in the process, but that's while he is sorry, it has hurt me, and he's saying that even though it was wrong, and he knows it was wrong, he said he's sorry, but it felt like it was something he had to do. Now he wants us to move on like nothing happened. Yeah, dream on, dude. It's not gonna work that way. Come on here. But by the way, I want to point something out, guys. This guy, they're both 25 years old, and they've been dating for 5 years, and she says this dude's never been with anybody except her and the woman he cheated with, and she claims that she hasn't been with anybody except the dude she cheated with in a relationship prior. This is one of the many reasons I say if two people are going to get married, particularly guys, wait till you're 30, but also if you're going to get married, which I obviously say don't do in this day and age, but if you do it anyway, both parties need to get a little experience. And that way then when they get hitched, assuming they got a good thing going, there's no wondering about things on the other side. There's no regrets or anything like that. I'm not saying that the girl or the guy needs to ride the carousel with everybody in town, but a little experience is a pretty good thing to have, a good idea. But you can see here, he never had any experience. And by the way, neither did she, and look what happened. And again, this is her telling the story. We don't know exactly if she's being 100% honest about her past and all that. But I'm going through this story and I'm playing devil's advocate here and just taking this at face value that she's being honest here. Who knows? It goes on. Now he wants us to move on like nothing happened. I have no idea what to do from here. I would be the world's biggest hypocrite if I left him, but I'm so hurt and I just don't know where we go from here. Sorry for the wall of text. Any advice would be appreciated. Now she goes on to update, part 2, so to speak. He says, this has been a very rough week. In fact, this has been pretty much ruined what is normally my favorite time of the year. Several people have PM'd me asking me to update, but I have just been kind of a haze and honestly don't know what to type. I'll start off with this. We are still together. We have agreed to postpone telling people when our wedding will be, but for now, we are still together and still engaged to be married. He has agreed to go with me to couples counseling. That's not going to fix anything. We can't get into the end of next month, but we have it set up to go, and his insurance will cover his portion of the bill, and I'm still checking on mine, but we can pay out of pocket if necessary. We've had several long conversations that have involved lots of crying, mostly me, and one full-fledged mental breakdown by him. This is a mess. Honestly, they should part ways, because she cheated on him a long time ago, and obviously it was, after only a few weeks of dating, but still kept that quiet all those years, and he thought everything was cool, so you can't trust her. And then she tells him, and then he goes out and bangs some coworker. Okay, and again, we can all laugh about that, but still, over something that happened 5 years ago, and then he wants to then just continue like nothing had happened. It's not going to work. So he's passive aggressive. She cheated in the past, kept it secret for 5 years. And now he's doing this, and now they're fighting. A situation like this, it's best to just part ways, because neither one of them is going to trust each other anymore. And there's going to be all this built-up resentment, and obviously he's demonstrated he's passive aggressive. Passive aggressive people never ever really let shit go. But I'll continue on here. I'm not going to lie. After posting this the last time, some people were saying that they thought she was fictional and he was only saying he did this. So during one of our conversations, I finally got the courage to just ask him if he was just saying this to make me feel bad. Sadly, he continued to claim that this happened and how bad he feels about it. I'll also just go ahead and admit this now as well. I snooped. I went to his workplace and started looking for her. I've been there many times before, so security didn't even pay me a second thought. I found her and really truly wish I had not. Curiosity kills the cat. She is everything I am not. She is tall, big blonde hair, and extremely pretty. As though my self-esteem wasn't already in the toilet, this pretty much put a fork in me. Well, then you shouldn't have gone to see what she looked like, but I'm not surprised at all that she went looking to see who this woman was. I never spoke to her, and I've never told him I've seen her, but the thought of her and him working together every day was making me lose my mind. I know how much he likes sex, and I can only imagine if she is really available to him, he will go back for seconds. But this leads me to another part of my update. I honestly believe he is very emotionally hurt by what he has done. He loves sex, but he's also very uptight about it as well, if that makes any sense. He has told me on more than one occasion how he feels like he has betrayed not just me, but himself by doing this. He said that the entire time was very weird to him initially, but very upsetting to him. Ultimately, because he said just going through the act without any emotional ties to the act was unsettling for him and that he really didn't enjoy it. I'm calling BS on this, by the way. I've seen her, he doesn't know that, and I can tell you he would enjoy that. Hey, who knows? Just because she would enjoy it doesn't mean that he would enjoy it. Obviously, he was doing it purely for revenge, not the I want to experience somebody else. Let's be honest here. I've unloaded on him a few times, probably unfairly on a couple of times, but I got so mad one night I smacked him. Not cool. If he did that to her, what do you think would happen? I immediately begged him to forgive me because I knew immediately that it was wrong. I had a girl smack me once. One time, and it was over. I'll admit she got me hard. Never saw it coming. Whack. He still has never yelled at me or even raised his voice. But his full meltdown did reveal that he truly feels betrayed. Sadly, he remembers the weekend that my cheating occurred in great detail because he had asked me to attend a family function with him and I already planned to go to my sister's, so I couldn't. He put two and two together and determined that I was having sex when he was miserable and he had asked me to be with him. Basically, we have both hurt each other badly, but we will both still want to be together, so we are going to try and make this work. It's not going to work. There's just too much hurt, passive aggression, all sorts of stuff. It's not going to work. I also asked him again why he did what he did. Well, actually, I've asked him several times, and he is firm that he did it to ease his own pain. He said that it wasn't just done to spite me, bullshit, or to get even, but he said he won't deny that maybe somewhere along the lines he did consider it. The ultimate update to this is that he has told me he is going to leave his job. He said he does not feel right walking into work and seeing her and both of them acting like nothing ever happened. I did not ask him to do this, and once again, he doesn't even know that I've seen her. Well, that's her fault. She's the one that went snooping. Like I said, curiosity killed the cat. Honestly, I am relieved about that part. Do I think he did to spite me? Honestly, yes, I think there is a part of that in there. But in talking with him, and we talked for hours on the subject, I just really get the feeling that he thought it would make him feel better, but it didn't. I'm sure it made him feel better for about 10 minutes during the process, because this guy obviously, something tells me he wouldn't last very long. And he probably did feel like shit about it because he did it for revenge. Let's cut the bullshit here. He did it purely to get even with her and feel better, but obviously he didn't. It made the situation worse. If indeed he wanted to then continue on with her. But you can't think that he just goes bangs his coworker and then says, okay, we're even, everything's going to go back to normal and be fine. Because he's still going to be untrusting her and angry about what happened and all that. And now she's pissed off at him because he cheated on her. It's a big mess. Sometimes you just have to part ways and start over. Start over as in something new. He now feels like he has to deal with the pain of being a cheater on top of trying to deal with the idea of being cheated on. It's far more emotional than he is. I am far more emotional than he is, but I can tell you from knowing him so long that he is a mess emotionally and he's just trying to cope differently than I am. I wish I had more definitive update for you guys or something more juicy, but this is where we are. We both hurt, we both want to keep trying, and we both are trying our best to heal ourselves while trying to heal each other. Oh, I know it was a snotty thing to do, but I demanded that he get tested for STIs, and he did. He came back clean. I know that was humiliating for him, but I just feel like I needed that for my peace of mind. Also, we had sex for the first time since all this last night. Very intense. Not the usual loving emotions from each other. For that at first, he stopped and we eventually ended back into a more romantic state soon after. Yeah, I guarantee it wasn't a romantic loving. I guarantee it was very intense because there was probably a lot of anger in what was going on. Alright, and last and final update to this story. She says, honestly, things have been much better since my last update. We've had several long, honest conversations with each other, and we both are very committed to staying together. And I can honestly say that we love each other. I truly believe he loves me, and I know for a fact I still love him. After my last update, I had to take a long, hard look at myself because so many people were rightfully chastising me about hitting him. I have to agree with several of the commentators that if the roles had been reversed, that I probably would have thought it was abuse. Darn right. Nobody has the right to hit each other. I don't care what the situation is, okay? And again, if he hit her, we know darn well how that could have gone. Well, it was no different for me. I was abusive, and it's very hard to come down in terms with that. I wrote him a 4-page letter telling him how sorry I was. I offered to go to the police and turn myself in, but he said that was stupid. Yeah, it is. He said that he didn't even think about it because his words, I barely trapped him. That does not make it right. I was wrong, and I make no excuses. It is just as wrong for a woman to hit a man as a man to hit a woman. So I apologize to him, and now I apologize to all you that read it and were offended. All right, let's not get carried away here. I'm not offended. Just don't hit a guy. You are right to be offended, and I am sorry for my actions. I let my emotions take me to a place I should never have been allowed to them. It looks like my insurance may not come through for our therapy, but I'm going to pay for it out of my pocket. He is going to stay at his job, but take a transfer to another office across town. This was a good compromise because he can still maintain his benefits and seniority at his job, but he will no longer work in the same building as her. The only hiccup that has occurred was when we were talking about my indiscretion from years ago. He wanted to know who it was, and once I finally convinced him that I had no idea who he was or how to get a hold of him, he got upset about me hooking up with someone I didn't know. But that quickly passed, and he said that was dumb to be upset about it. So that's the thing. I'm not sure if she actually knows who the guy is or she's lying. If she's lying, she got to learn her lesson to quit while she's ahead because, well, she's not ahead, but you know what I mean here. Because he can catch her in that one too. He was doing better about the whole thing. I'm trying really hard myself. I don't know which is worse. In his mind, having to make up what the other guy looked like, or in my case, actually knowing what she looks like. However, we haven't even spoken about it in the past 2 nights, so I don't know if it is good or bad, to be honest with you. Anyway, sorry that there isn't anything really juicy to report to you, but ultimately I think we'll be okay with each other, and we both are really trying hard to make this work. You know, she's obviously addressing readers on Reddit, which I found this obviously, and she says nothing to repeat that's a report that's juicy. It's almost in a way that she's enjoying the attention she's getting from this, and perhaps you could say, hey, I'm not making any better because I'm doing a video on this, but at the end of the day, I did this video, guys, because again, another classic story. Woman goes to a party, gets drunk, cheats, blames it on the alcohol, keeps it a secret, and then years later comes out. And I said there's lessons here to point out, and here they are. Number one, if you're going to cheat in the relationship, and it goes both ways, whether you're a guy or a girl, it is not fair to the other person. If you do it, do not blame alcohol. Don't use that as an excuse. That is the biggest cop-out. It is the oldest story in the book, but not cool. Also, you cheat, you tell the person. Again, it goes both ways. Because, number one, it's the right thing to do. You owe it to them. But don't go years and years and years being in a relationship with them, and they think all along everything's great, and you're the greatest girl ever, or greatest guy. And lo and behold, they find out. Okay, now obviously she told him, and he may have never found out. So I'll give her credit that she told him. A little late, 5 years too late, but she told him. And then you saw what happened. But then he didn't help the situation by going out and banging some chick, which you can understand that he was obviously pissed off, hurt, confused, not trusting whether she was being completely honest about nobody else in those years. Because you can imagine that guy, because I'm sure this guy was obviously loyal and faithful, as generally guys are, good guys. And most guys are good guys before they get their heart smashed and ripped out. So he's wondering if she's truthful about that. And so he goes and bangs his coworker, and I'm sure again it felt good for about 10 minutes, but then afterwards he felt like shit. Thought, hey, I'm gonna go back to normal now. Wrong. And so it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And with all that shit, guys, sometimes it's just best to just throw in the towel and move on. Because I guarantee you, even the healing that's going on here, back of both their minds, they're always gonna wonder about this. So, and some people would say, hey, well, that's just going to make them stronger. Yeah, well, let's just see how that goes. And how does it usually work out? So, anyhow, guys, I thought it was an important story to share, important lessons there. So, again, those lessons that I've shared, you do relationships and all that stuff, because I know a lot of you guys do. Remember those things. Keep yourselves out of hot water. So, all right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.